Alright, we are now into part 9 of one of my biggest projects known to date, me rating every single Looney Tunes and Merrie Melodies cartoon ever released. But anyways, as I continue, we left off at the year 1957, and as always, I rank each cartoon on a usual 0 out of 10 scale, 0 being the worst and 10 being the best. And please note that all the rankings are based on my personal opinion, so if you disagree with me on any of these rankings, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below with positive feedback, and I can help you out with it in the best way possible. But please be nice with the comments, and I'm totally fine with your opinions on the cartoons too. But anyways, enough said, let's just get into the rankings and let's begin. What's Opera, Doc? This cartoon is an absolute classic for many reasons. Firstly, it's a great mix of intensity and suspense combined. Second, this cartoon can be really emotional with a great touch of comedy in it. Third, the music is simply iconic and forgettable. And fourth, the cartoon itself, dude, I love every single thing about it, including how emotional and comedic at the same time it is. I'm crowning this as my second favorite next to Duck Amuck. This cartoon is just so fucking beautiful and outstanding. I don't have any other words to say about it at all. Tabasco Road. Okay, Speedy Gonzales is actually pretty good in this one, but this one has some bad stereotypes in there, but not the greatest. I know, Speedy is a legend, but that doesn't mean I have to criticize him a bit too. But it's pretty much just a decent one overall. Birds Anonymous. This actually won an Oscar? Huh, that's surprising. But continuing, it's probably one of my favorite Sylvester and Tweety shows, not gonna lie, as it revolves around a fantastic plot, and some great designs, and some great gags and jokes. Most of the Tweety cartoons are bad, but this one is outstanding. Duck and the Devil. I was kinda expecting this one to reuse the animation from the other two Tasmanian Devil cartoons, but I guess I was wrong. The first two feature Bugs Bunny, now this one features Daffy Duck. There aren't many amusing gags in there, but I'm sure this'll do. Bugsy and Mugsy. This is a direct sequel to Bugs and Ducks, but as I said, I love the suspense and the plot of this cartoon, to be honest. Such a good cartoon with such a good plot, but honestly I think I have seen better cartoons than just this, so I like this better than Bugs and Ducks though. Zoom and Bold. Not gonna lie, this one is pretty good with a pretty good surreal touch, and some overall very good gags, but not as bad as the first few ones, but this'll do. Greedy for Tweety. This one is alright, but I kinda need to start to get used to Friz Freeling's design of Granny. This one is filled with nothing but very cool hospital gags, surroundings, Sylvester and that other dog featured in this cartoon. But at least Sylvester finally got to eat Tweety for once. Touche and Go. Every Peppa cartoon is the same boring joke over and over again. Peppa always flows for that cat. But this one sometimes focuses on the characters singing a parody of I've Been Working on the Railroad for some reason. Showbiz Bugs. Really good Bugs Daffy rivalry cartoon. If I answered the question, if someone would ask me if I would prefer Showbiz Bugs or Bosco in person, I'd definitely say this. But anyways, really good for a 1957 cartoon with some overall very great gags and some good timing between them. But this one is also filled with vaudeville and Broadway gags. Mouse Taken Identity. And we have another Hippity Hopper cartoon set in the museum. I think Sylvester's top two main enemies are Tweety and Hippity Hopper. Seems like Hippity always knows what he's doing, but still, this is overall a decent chase cartoon about Sylvester and Hippity Hopper trying to vandalize and ruin a museum. Guessing they're gonna pay and possibly get in big trouble for all the damage they have done, trust me. I wouldn't want to act like these two in a museum. Gonzales Tamales. Bruh, we got into another unfunny Gonzalez cartoon. But Speedy is pretty comedic as usual. But the thing is, the characters talk pretty weirdly in a stereotypical way, and some gags aren't as good as I thought it would be. But I guess this'll do. Rabbit Romeo. This is about Bugs trying to fall in love with another stupid chubby rabbit who I don't know her name. This is kinda like Romeo and Juliet in a way, but still, this kinda reminds me of Pepe Le Pew in a way too. Not my type. Don't ask me. This one is kinda boring for a cartoon from 1958, and the plot is pretty stupid, just saying. Tortilla Flaps. Man, does Speedy Gonzales remind me of the Roadrunner? I mean, I like Speedy as a character, but not the shorts he appears in, as they appear to be kinda racist and stereotypical. But seriously, Speedy has something going on in him. Hairless Wolf. Honestly, the setup in this cartoon takes a bit long, and it's about Bugs Bunny trying to cause a fight with a wolf. Just imagine if a wolf was Yosemite Sam in disguise. This one has plenty of amusing gags and a really good source of entertainment. Man, I actually really enjoy this one. Better than the last 3 cartoons I saw. A Piece of Tweety Pie. Okay, this one is actually kinda cool. This cartoon was set in Venice from what I suppose. Honestly, Venice is such a beautiful and unique city, and I should probably go there one day. But anyways, this one has got quite a few amusing gags. But the cartoon, despite the title, has nothing to do with pizza, but features spaghetti near the end instead. Robin Hood Daffy. Alas, we have arrived at the final Porky cartoon directed by Chuck Jones, and this one is quite interesting. Honestly, if anything, I actually love this cartoon, but there are a couple flaws in it that could at least need work, but this'll do. Hair Raid to the Stars. At first, when I read the title, I thought this was going to be a cartoon like Slick Hair that features stereotypical Hollywood caricatures, but I found out by watching it that this cartoon is actually like Hair Devil Hair and the Hasty Hair. In fact, this one is very similar to Hair Devil Hair that I literally had to give this the same rating as Hair Devil Hair. Continuing, this one has a great futuristic touch, with some very entertaining and enjoyable gags, with a dramatic touch in some of them too. But one thing that kinda concerns me is the fact it's gonna be about Marvin's plan to try and nuke the entire planet Earth. My goodness, either he could be evil, or he's doing that just for trolling purposes. Whoa, be gone! Wiley just wants to finally capture and eat that Roadrunner. Gee, a lot of gags are good for, but some of them are okay. A Waggly Tail. There's a dog in this film named Elvis. What is he named after? Elvis Presley? As he was very popular at the time this cartoon was released. This one is about Junior basically being an asshole trying to fuck around with his dog. Honestly, Junior is kinda dumb and looks like a nerd. This is why children shouldn't treat their dogs cruelly, just saying. But this one at least kinda reminds me of From A to Z, as most of the cartoon just takes place in a dream, flashback, or nightmare. This is honestly one of the dumbest and most chaotic cartoons I've ever seen. I wouldn't want to treat a dog like this, you know. Feather Bluster. What have we got here? We got another clip show. And this, in my opinion, could probably be my least favorite Falcon Leghorn cartoon so far. In my opinion, clip shows are lazy, boring, and rushed, and they ruin the fun. But I've seen better, trust me. Now hear this. I thought this was gonna be a fun and experimental cartoon, but I was wrong. Another one with the typical Looney Tunes chaos. The same old thing, you know, but it's kinda slow-paced. To Each His Own. Well, this is another very cool one surrounding three gags. But this one is a wild experience, to say the least. DogTales. Another blackout gag cartoon but featuring dogs. Well, this one is pretty cute and entertaining, but it can be stupid too. in terms of gags, but let me tell you, most of the gags are not funny. 99 Bugs. This cartoon won an Oscar? How shocking. I honestly kinda like the medieval setting, but this one is mostly featured around night gags between Bugs and Yosemite, but it can do better, just saying. Weasel While You Woke. Oh look, a title pun from a Disney song. But seriously, this is the third cartoon I've seen from a Falcon Leghorn that surrounds a weasel. An average Falcon cartoon out there. Also, the setup in this cartoon takes too long, as it takes about half a cartoon to get to its usual plot. Falcon hates weasels. A bird in a bonnet. What have we got here? Another stage cartoon. But it's about Sylvester and Tweety. But surprisingly enough, Tweety sits on Granny's hat. Isn't that sweet? But this is decent, not the greatest, but it could need woke. Sylvester tries so hard to capture that Tweety pie, but nothing seems to work, you know. Lol. Huck, Line, and Stinko. I appreciate the Roadrunner cartoons. They are pretty fun and entertaining, and they never fail to make me laugh. And this one is very entertaining, for a cartoon that runs a bit less than 6 minutes. Pre-hysterical hair. I remember seeing this one before on MeTV. At first, I thought it was actually kinda good, but rewatching it, it's actually pretty bad. I mean, this one can technically be called a documentary film, but it surrounds prehistoric Bugs and Elmo. And some major flaws I find is that Elmo Fudd has a new voice that is pretty stupid, and the fact that they reuse animation from Caveman Inky. If you're wondering why the last few cartoons use stock music, it's because they use stock music by John Seeley of Capitol Records, because there was a musician strike going on at that time, and because Carl W. Stalin quit his job as a musician in 1958. And I kinda find this one questionable too, because of the stupid portrayals of Bugs and Elmo as cavemen. I like the Flintstones better. Gopher Broke. Stupid and goofy gophers? Well, at least they are kinda funny and they try to be as goofy as they can possibly be. But man, this one is at least a bit funny. Hip Hip Hurry. This one is actually pretty good, with its usual gags and nice jokes and cartoon violence. Anyways, on to the next one. Cat Feud. This is the last cartoon to feature Mark Antony and Pussyfoot. These characters can be cute, but it's kinda strange, because this one is set at a construction site. I have never seen a cat dog cartoon set at a construction site, but nonetheless, it's a good cartoon. Baton Bunny. And we have arrived at the first cartoon directed by Abe Levito, and honestly, the beginning part before Bug starts conducting just reminds me of Rhapsody Rabbit for some reason. Well, mainly for coughing gag. This is like if Rhapsody Rabbit and Long-Haired Hare had a crossover, but without the opera, and we also have Bugs dealing with the fly. Great. But at least I kinda enjoyed it, but not as much as the other musical cartoons. Mouse-Placed Kitten. This one is cute at the least, but cartoon-wise, it's not all that good. I'm not a fan of the cartoons with mice as the main characters, but this one has at least a few amusing gags and that's it. China Jones. I really don't like this one due to racial stereotyping of Chinese people. None of this cartoon was funny, even at the slightest. Arabian Nights. I mean, this one does have some interesting backgrounds, but I'm not a fan of this one, due to the stereotyping of Arabic people, and due to it turning into a clip show. That's why I don't find this one entertaining. Trick or Treat. Two putty tats fighting for a boyd. Well, that's something entirely different, but okay. At least I can handle it. Also, despite the title, this cartoon has nothing to do with Halloween. The Mouse That Jack Built. This one's spoof a Jack Benny program. Cool, I guess. Well, this one is a decent parody, but this one doesn't have very many amusing gags. Even though at least this one is kinda better than the Honey Mousers. Just saying. Apes of Wrath. This is the final appearance of a drunk Stoke. Finally, at least we don't have to deal with any more drunk Stokes. But hey, at least this one is good. Hot Rod and Reel. That coyote always fails to catch the Roadrunner, and I love it. But man, I just can't get enough of the Roadrunner cartoons, and they always amuse me. Roadrunner's like my favorite character in the series. I can just salute on him all day if you want me to, but let's just get into the cartoon. Well, it's actually very good and very entertaining with its amusing gags. A Mutt in a Rut. I like Pokey's Rover better, but anyways, this is actually decent with some entertaining dog gags. Man, is Rover aggressive or what? The Rover in this cartoon is owned by Elmer Fudd, and you can say this is the cartoon where Elmer encourages a dog to go hunting. Backwards Bunny. I believe I've watched this cartoon before. Rewatching this, I believe this one is kinda stupid and quite boring. But this one is also slow-paced in some parts, and the setup in this cartoon takes too long, as it takes about one half of a cartoon to get to its cartoon chaos. Another reason why I don't like this is because of the fact the buzzard is stereotypically portrayed and both of them sound drunk. Both buzzards sound drunk, I mean. But I kinda like the cartoon scent though at the least. Really scent. Ew. No thank you. Well, back into the Pepe Le Pew cartoons. And here are some things I find completely wrong about Pepe in this cartoon. 1. He is always obsessed with that cat. 2. He is stinky and probably never takes showers. 3. In this cartoon, he is responsible for making everyone leave the ship. I never liked Pepe, and I don't think I ever will, but the backgrounds in this cartoon are actually good. Mexicali's Mouse. And Speedy Gonzales is back at it again. Also, I'm surprised this one was nominated for an Academy Award. Of all things, Speedy is a legend, but not the cartoons. At least this one is a bit decent, but not all that good. Tweet and Lovely. Okay, this one is something. Also, the title card features musical notes in it, despite it having nothing to do with music, except for if you count the beginning the gag where Tweety sings in a bathtub. But nonetheless, this one is cool but could need work. Also, is it just me, or did they feature a Tom and Jerry character in this? And just let Sylvester eat that bird again, cease! Wild and Woolly Hair. Pretty good show with a nice western touch, just like our Yosemite Sam cartoons at the time. But hey, at least it's better than the last few cartoons I watched. I mean, I do have an interest in western films, but sci-fi is more of my type. But this one has some real good gags and a good plot, but it's kinda slow-paced too. Just saying. Cat's Paw. This one is about Sylvester and Junior going mountain climbing. Nice, I guess, but let's go to the cartoon. This one is actually below average for a Sylvester cartoon. Man, are these cartoons getting worse each time or what? Here today, gone tamale. I wished these shows were better if it wasn't for the Mexican mouse caricatures, but this one is decent, but I can handle it. The ending was like the only part that entertained me. Bonanza Bunny. At first, I thought this was gonna be a parody of a Bonanza TV show, but I guess I was wrong. It's another cartoon with a very good western scent and very good plot. I mean, this one is really great and all that, but one flaw I find about this is that Bugs deals with a completely different character entirely, with some kind of stupid look by the name of Block Jock Shellac. If I were to be completely honest, that character reminds me of Yosemite Sam in a way, but it's a really good cartoon and you should probably watch it someday. Probably the only cartoon from Warner Brothers from 1959 that I can actually find outstanding, but still. A Broken Leghorn. Overall, a decent Foghorn Leghorn cartoon. Has a few flaws in it, but still. This could be another instance of Miss Pussy laughing like an actual chicken. Other than that, this one has a few amusing gags, and that's about it. Wild About Harry. We have only 150 left to go in this collection, and to be honest, this one is pretty good. Probably my favorite part about this is the indestructible steel ball gag, which has lots of effort put into it and a great path for that steel ball. A witch's tangled hair. This one is a mixed bag. It's like Abe Levitos' take on Shakespeare. Cool, I guess. But something tells me that the Shakespeare gags are not all that good. I mean, I like Shakespeare's plays and all that, but the gags do need work here and there. Unnatural history. Well, this one is cool, I guess. This is like Abe Levitos' take on animal life. But of all things, this feels like a blackout gag cartoon about animals and animal life. Some of the gags are good and some can be bad, but oh well. It can do better. And this one can also be forgettable, and to be honest, I kinda find it underrated. Also, don't ask me why some characters look like the main Looney Tunes stars. Tweet Dreams. Seriously, this is another clip show. As I keep saying, clip shows ruin the fun, and they are not all that funny and are more boring to watch. I just hope that this is the last clip show I get to see from the series, but the ending gag is the only thing that entertained me. People Are Bunny. And we wrap up the 1950s with this thing. Looks like the people who made this had a lot of ideas for a joke and never created a plot about it. I mean, some gags are decent, but it's filled with nothing but TV gags, despite its spoofing on reality television during the late 1950s. Fastest with the mostest. Alright guys, this is it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. We've officially arrived in the 1960s. And the 1960s is known as the dark age of American animation, so you'll most likely expect low ratings for the next 150 cartoons, most particularly in Part 10. Man, Roadrunners can be impossible to catch on day. But this one is surprisingly good to start this decade off, filled with some good gags and good time between them. West of the Pesos. You know, the whole thing of Speedy Gonzales being a friend of everyone's sister is getting boring, and none of the Speedy cartoons so far were actually very good. Overall, this one is kinda decent, but it needs work, just saying. Horsehair. And we got our first bad cartoon of the 1960s. The reason why I hate this is because of its setting and the people portrayed in it, Native Americans. And I don't like this even in the slightest bit. But maybe one of my worst Bugs Bunny cartoons, but still. At least this is better than Tom Tom Tomcat. Wild Wild World. This one reminds me of Prehistorical Hair. But anyways, nice TV show documentary parody, I suppose. But to say the least, this one is actually pretty boring and slow-paced. The cavemen in this one all portrayed stupidly. You know, this doesn't even feel like a cartoon, but more of a documentary film. And surprisingly enough, this cartoon predates the Flintstones by 7 months, and this one has got some Flintstone-style gags. And that's about it. This one is decent, and our first decent one for the 60s. Goldie Mouse and the Three Cats. Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but it's Sylvester anyone. But, well, this cartoon is actually funny, and a really good spoof on Goldilocks. Really splendid. Person to Bunny. Well, another one that is really good. Another one centered around TV gags, but still, this one feels like an interview on 1960s TV for some reason. But I'd say this is my first cartoon from the 60s that I would consider outstanding. Also, sad thing, this is Arthur Q. Brine's last appearance as Elmer Fudd, in which he died 4 months after this cartoon was released. How sad. But nonetheless, this one has really tremendous gags, perfectly paced, and reminds me of a Hunting trilogy in a way, but set inside a TV station. Who Sent You? This one is also surprisingly good, but kinda decent. Man, We are already getting to the early 1960s, and we got 6 good cartoons, 1 decent cartoon, and 1 bad cartoon. But one thing, women's films do not interest me, even in the slightest. Hide and go tweet. This cartoon is a classic for many reasons. It's a Sylvester and Tweety cartoon, but it takes a much darker tone and is above average in terms of rankings. I've seen this many times before, and I loved every single bit of it. It has a really good plot and really good gags overall. Also, you can say that this is the cartoon where Tweety literally turns evil. Oh, how I love the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde spoofs. Rabbit's Feet. Another cartoon featuring Wile E. Coyote paired with Bugs Bunny. How entertaining. But anyways, this one is actually good. Gosh, during the 1960s so far, why have we got more good cartoons? Damn. Crockett Doodle Doo. Well, another solid and average Falcon Leghorn cartoon. But to be honest, this is actually kinda enjoyable. But I like it better if Falcon did not have that thing on his head. Mouse and Garden. Well, this one is decent and solid. Some of this is not all that funny for. Also, I just figured out that the orange cat's name is Sam. Ready, Woolen, Enable. And we're back to seeing Wild Wolf and Sam Sheepdog doing their usual cartoon chaos shenanigans. But anyways, it's just another chase cartoon from a catalog that very much reminds me of the Roadrunner, but it's not. Wild Wolf does look similar to Wile E. Coyote, to say the least, and that's about it. Mice Follies. And this is the last appearance of the Honey Mousers. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the Honey Mousers. They're just born with some poor gags that didn't age well. I like the Honeymooners better, and this cartoon is the most boring out of the 3 Honey Mousers cartoons. From Hair to Hair. What have we got here? Just another Bugs in Yosemite cartoon, eh? Bugs Bunny is really funny and I love it. Despite it being partially slow-paced, this is another cartoon that I adore with some really amazing gags and a good plot. This is one of the better Bugs in Yosemite cartoons in my opinion, and despite it not having much cartoon violence, I can still consider it a very good one. The Dixie Friar. What have we got here? Another cartoon sent the south, eh? This reminds me of Backwards Bunny, but it's Falcon Leghorn instead of Bugs Bunny. Honestly though, this cartoon is mid, but mostly not my type, due to what is going on in this cartoon and the characters in it. It can do better. Hopalong Casualty. I actually really enjoy this one. Let me show you the examples of the gags I loved in this. The Christmas present machine gag honestly made me laugh my ass off, and the Acme Earthquake Pills gag is probably the best one in the series so far. I loved it so much that I'd consider the cartoon one of my favorite Roadrunner cartoons. Trip for Tat. And this is another clip show featuring reused animation. Kinda looks like they put 0 effort into this, and I'm not happy with it. This is the second bad cartoon of the 1960s we got into so far. Although I wouldn't say it's a clip show, it's more of a cartoon featuring remade and reused animation. I really don't like this one, and it's another one of my worst Sylvester and Tweety cartoons, although it's not as bad as Tom Tom Tomcat, but still. Doggone People. This is the first Elmer Fudd short to feature a different voice after Arthur Q. Brian's death. And to be honest, Elmo's new voice is not bad, but more ugly. I 100% prefer Arthur Q. Bryan over Hal Smith. But anyways, this one is mediocre and not all that funny. Also, the pacing of this cartoon is poor. Thanks a lot, Robert Mackinson. Let's hope the next one is better. High Note. This one is a treat. And to be honest, I love music, and this is a great comedic touch of some stick guy workers trying to compose some of the Blue Danube. It works real well, and the gags are great. I also meant to say musical notes instead of stick guys. This one is very clever, comedic, experimental, and creative. Nearly every single frame in this is brilliant, and well done from start to finish. One of my favorite one-shot cartoons, and I give massive props to Chuck Jones for this. And before I move on, this is easily, in my opinion, the most underrated Looney Tunes show of all time, and for the 1960s. Secondly being the Three Little Blobs. Lighter than hair. I expected another Duck Dodgers or Hail Devil Hail follow-up. Well, I guess I was wrong. But also, it would have been better if Yosemite Sam was replaced with Marvin the Martian. Just saying. Cannery Woe. And we begin 1961 with this mess. Let me tell you, the Speedy cartoons are literally the same plot and gags recycled over and over again. So that's why they get boring so easily. Zip and Shoot. The Roadrunner shorts are always the same plot over and over again, but with different gags, and I actually really appreciate it. Also, this one has great gags landed perfectly. Also, the ending gag in this reminds me of the first Roadrunner cartoon, or the first two, for some reason. Happy Days. Let's be honest, this one is okay, not the greatest, but still. But one flaw is that the animation can be cheesy at times. The Mouse on 57th Street. This cartoon features a rat being drunk by eating cake. Bro, what is this? A cartoon that encourages kids to be drunk? I swear to God. Moving on, this is more of a bland cartoon featuring nothing but gags around it, a hung-over mouse. Also, the setup in this takes way too long, as it takes about half a cartoon to get to where the big thing begins. Also, the moral of this cartoon is to never break into stores while being hung over, as you'll be caught by the authorities, and will possibly be on the news. This cartoon most likely teaches us not to steal, cause you should not steal any precious items. Just don't steal, okay? Strangled Eggs. This is the final appearance of Miss Prizzy and Henry Hawk. Cool, I guess. But anyways, another average, solid, and decent Falcon Leghorn cartoon we got. Nothing else special about it, except that there are some gags that could need woke. Birds of a Father. This one is decent. We've lately begun some decent cartoons so far during the decade. But I believe some of the gags are not all that good, but I think this'll do. The Fine Ones. Another Sylvester cartoon? You gotta be kidding. But anyways, this is yet another one that's good. This one features Sylvester and some screwy dog escaping from a truck headed for the animal pound. But honestly, I like it when Sylvester's with other characters that are not Hippity Hopper or Tweety Bird. The Abominable Snow Rabbit. I really enjoy this one. This one has really good gags and humor and jokes. And it's also weird and surprising that the cartoon showcases its tone from winter to summer, and on the day I'm watching this, my area is experiencing record high temperatures, ironically. Also one question, why does the snow monster call Daffy Duck a bunny rabbit? Lickety splat. I think this is the lowest rating I've ever give for a Roadrunner cartoon so far. Not all the gags are satisfying to watch. You know, it's the 1960s, and cartoons are starting to decline at this point, so what do you expect? Ascent of the Matterhorn. It's actually really impressive that the credits are in French, but for the cartoon itself, it's nothing special, just another stupid Pepper cartoon with the same boring plot. Also, I never knew the cat's name was Penelope until now. It's one of the more bad Chuck Jones cartoons during this era. God, I hope this Pepper cartoon ends soon. Rebel Without Class. And we've got yet another cartoon sent in the frickin' Confederate South. It more of takes on the Civil War, just like in Hillbilly Hill. Meh, I'm definitely not a fan of these cartoons, I tell you that. Also, the gags and jokes are stupid and boring, but some visuals are actually good, just saying. Compressed Hair. Bugs Bunny collabing with a coyote again, huh? Well, very interesting, but anyways, this one has a pretty good and has a good plot to it, with some decent gags here and there, But oh well, it could do better. I like the Roadrunner cartoons more though, just saying. But I'm glad this one didn't recycle the same plot as the other Bugs Wile E. Coyote cartoons. The Pied Piper of Guadalupe. As I keep saying, the Speedy cartoons always recycle the same plot over and over again, and they get boring real quick. This one is about Sylvester trying to abuse mice while playing flute, which is kinda stupid. But it's another solid twist on the Pied Piper of Hamelin. But the animation. Also, the setup takes about half a cartoon to get to its climax. Looks like Sylvester is trying to go against Mexicans in this cartoon, eh? Prince Violent. You can also call this cartoon Prince Varmint, but this one takes on the Viking era. Crazy, isn't it? And this may be the only cartoon in the series that takes on Vikings. The cartoons are starting to decline a bit from what you see, with some actual good ones here and there, and honestly, this is one of the more good Yosemite cartoons from that era. I'm just gonna give this the same rating as Sahara Hair. Daffy's in Trouble. Why does the cartoon title sound a little suspicious? It reminds me of the phrase Daffy's in trouble, like if he got in trouble. And this is actually about Daffy Duck building his own hotel in the West. I mean, the gags do look fine, even if they do better in other cartoons. But the ending part is actually kind of funny, as it takes on an actual hotel that Daffy Duck owns, like a 4-star hotel. Not just some old western hotel of some sort, but I'm gonna give it a positive rating nonetheless. What's My Lion? This is Elmer Fudd's final speaking appearance in any Looney Tunes show during the classic era, and this one is about Elmer hunting a mountain lion. Well, isn't that amusing? But this one is actually pretty good, honestly. One of the more underrated shows in my opinion. Be Prepared. This one was nominated for an Academy Award, and to be honest, this one is really good, the gags are well done, and the pacing is pretty good. Also, the gag where Wile E. Coyote falls into a hole is gold. The Last Hungry Cat. Another very good Sylvester and Tweety cartoon. Honestly, this reminds me of Alfred Hitchcock, I really like him by the way, and this one has a very good plot, very good suspense, and very good comedy. Overall, this one is very enjoyable and I highly recommend it. Nellie's Folly. Wow. This giraffe is actually really good at singing to say the least. But anyways, this is more of a musical than a comedy. That giraffe is such a badass singer and I love it. I can go for any cartoon related to music and this is one of them. Although Nellie may be a little big, she is a really good singer as I keep saying. I really appreciate this cartoon. And it's pretty underrated. But anyways, the ending is pretty dark, and that's one thing I kinda don't like about this. And this reminds me of Pizzicato Pussycat, but the giraffe isn't exposed as a fraud. But the fans never liked Nellie near the end. I just love how this cartoon takes an emotional tone. Oh, and at the end, Nellie actually finds a new love. This is pretty emotional, spectacular, and musical with a really good plot. And I recommend you to watch it someday. One of my favorite one-shot cartoons. Wet Hair. Ah yes, another cartoon featuring that one character shown in Bonanza Bunny. But to be honest, to say the least, it's very decent. Also take note, Bugs Bunny is against stamps. A Sheep in the Deep. Honestly, this Chase cartoon is actually pretty good, despite it being the final Ralph Wolf and Sam Sheepdog cartoon directed by Chuck Jones. Chuck Jones is amazing, you know. This one has really got some really good pace and excellent gags. Fish and Slips. And we got another fish cartoon. How amazing. Maybe the first one I've seen since Fresh Fish. Who knows. But it's about Sylvester and Junior exploring an aquarium. Pretty cool. But anyways, continuing. This one has some good gags and a nice perspective on aquatic life. This is another really good non-Tweety Sylvester show. I laughed at the gags where Sylvester gets eaten. Crocodile Tears. And here it is, the final short directed by Arthur Davis. And he'd return just for that cartoon. Ha! I think I remember seeing it before. It's a classic for some reason, but honestly, for Davis's final cartoon, this one is kinda decent, but a bit good at the same time. Just saying. Crow's Feet. This is like the second part of Two Crows from Tacos, but to be honest, this one is better than Two Crows from Tacos. Also, it's widely known for the cartoon making the last appearance of Elmer Fudd. As I said, the Two Crows have outdated and racial Mexican stereotypes, but I'll give it some points for an Elmer Fudd cameo. Mexican Borders. Honestly, this is my favorite Speedy cartoon so far. Despite the outdated stereotypes and some absurd gags, this one somehow has a different plot, and it's kinda interesting too at the same time. But the ending of this is at least kinda funny. And be prepared, the next 100 cartoons I'm gonna review will mostly have negative ratings, mainly after 1964. Alright, with that out of the way, Part 9 is officially done. Well, for a quick recap, from what I see, my ratings are starting to decline a bit. You know, we're entering the 1960s, and I noticed that some cartoons are starting to get bad. But anyways, I also discovered some new cartoons I like, but not as much as the last part. But anyways, 900 done, only 100 left to go. So for the next part, there's literally too much to explain, but I'm gonna make it short. Well, to make a long sentence short, what you're gonna expect is a complete downfall of the Looney Tunes cartoons, as we enter the last 100 cartoons. And later in that part, you're gonna see the debut appearances of characters like Cool Cat, Merlin the Magic Mouse, and Bonnie and Claude. And it's gonna get real bad once the Patty Freeling Enterprises enters the studio. And it's gonna continue to go that way, while Format Productions and Warner Brothers and 7 Arts Animation enters the studio too. So expect mostly negative ratings for the next 100 cartoons. And that'll be it for my ranking video. So if you can, please hit a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you want to see the process on my cartoon ranking so far, you should check out the Google Docs, the Google Sheets link, and my Letterboxd account in the description, as I will be logging them on there too. But if you want to do your own version of you rating every single Looney Tunes and Merrie Melodies cartoon, that's fine. Just give me credit for inspiration. And I was inspired by other people like Alice Mark and the Hit Critic to do this. So yeah. All my rankings are based on my personal opinion, and this is only my version of the rankings. So if I stole any of your ideas, then I'm very sorry to hear that. Any feedback will be appreciated as long as it's positive feedback. But anyways, that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next part. Ho 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 ho, let's wish me luck on the next part, please. Please do so.